хорошо. Во-первых, спасибо для HRAPI, что вы меня сюда приглашали. Я очень рад. Это мой второй раз здесь, в Питере, и я просто влюбился. Все такие добрые, и все здесь так красиво. Это правда, что я по-русски не так хорошо говорю, так что I will now speak in English, because it's just a little bit easier. Firstly, my name is Inslermann. Yes, I am from Estonia, so it was particularly nice to hear about Mind Valley, and I actually did not know that the wife of the CEO is from Estonia. Yes, something good again with Estonia. What I would like to ask you guys, all the ones sitting at the back, would you please come more forward, because I actually don't want to only speak. I want to have a discussion with all of you, and I want to put you guys into networking and talk with each other. So at the back, could you come a bit closer? Please, pretty please. All right, so we are talking about onboarding programs, the framework around it. So what is onboarding? From an HR perspective, basically it's very simple. It's just everything you can do to support somebody coming to a new company. That's it. So we're going to strip it to the basics. And just a little bit about myself as well. I haven't been in HR for that long. I think it's 4 or 5 years only. But before that, for almost a decade, I was in sales. So it was quite logical for me to go from sales over to recruitment, because it's all about selling the company. And along the way, I also studied communication management and journalism. And that really kind of drove me towards understanding what HR should be about and how I should get involved to actually help people understand that, hey, it's not about processes, it's about people. But onboarding, so why is it good for? From the company perspective, of course, it's all about the money and it's all about the numbers. So obviously to increase retention as much as possible, that's what the CEOs all think about, getting the people productive as quick as possible and just having the best employee net promoter score as we can. But what is it for you? So just to ask, how many of you have an onboarding program in your company? Raise your hand. Okay. And how many of you don't have anything? Okay, there's something always. Okay, that's pretty good. So can I maybe use one of the mics? And I'd like to ask you guys, why do you need an onboarding program? What is your opinion on it? Who would like to answer? Or I will just nominate. Maybe you.
I didn't think about it before, but I think we need some rules to manage people, and first every step should be like very formal to catch some facts and metrics for our managers. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. I'm all about informality, so okay, yeah. But I understand, I have a long background in corporates, and that's why I switched off to a startup, and now I'm also in a very startup-like company.
One more here.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, I have an opinion too.
Speak closer.
Okay, I think onboarding is needed to make the process of joining the company more comfortable for people from outside the company and for people inside the company, to introduce to your new team members, to make the team closer and to start it working on one goal in more short time.
Perfect.
Sorry for my bad English.
No, it's perfect. Very good. So here we have the company side, the corporate side, or the company needs, and the more personal need. I'd like to share a personal story with you, what changed my life completely. And this is why I am so passionate about onboarding programs. So I was working in this IT company, and we were hiring a lot. So I was responsible for the recruitment there. And I think within a year and a half, we hired around 150 people, all IT experts on different levels and roles and competencies. And there was this one person. Let's call him Oscar. So I interviewed Oscar. I can still remember. He was really nice. He was very good looking, very competent. You could just see that he was a normal human being, you know? The feeling of it, how you kind of define if he is suitable in the culture or not. And he was living in another country. He also had a wife, Emily, and they had a little boy called Thomas. He was 3. And he was the sole contributor to the family, and he relocated to our country and started working at our company. And in our company, because it was a part of a big corporation, the onboarding program consisted of having on the first day just an introduction of what's going on in the company, kind of the list overview of how things are done. And I was the one doing it, so it was very quick and very structured. And then after that, they had a 2-week classroom training, and that was only about technical parts, how to be ready after 2 weeks and start really being productive and working and making the money for the company. So he went through that, the 2-week classroom training, and you know, he wasn't the most extrovert one, but he wasn't a douche. He was, you know, just in the average and middle, and he was smart. And then after the classroom training, he started working with his team. And then 2 weeks went by. And then, that was a Friday afternoon, he came to me. I was the only one from HR there, and he told me that he needs to leave the company. I was, of course, very confused. I asked him, is everything okay? What's going on? Is like, what can we do to support you? And so on. And he said, no, I just feel that this was not the right decision for me. That was a Friday afternoon. Then this weekend, he went over to Finland, and he wasn't from Finland. And he jumped off a cliff and made suicide. And that was I found out about it a week later when his wife called me. And that was the moment where I was totally crushed. I don't think I have ever cried so much because of a situation like that. But it was also a complete change of my whole life. I am very grateful for Oscar. I'm also very sorry for his family. But instead of staying in the rut and thinking, oh my God, what could have I asked more? What could have I done differently? And so on. I started thinking about the big picture. How did this even happen? And it's very simple. This company or this onboarding framework was only concentrating on the technical side of it, on how to make the person make money for the company. And that's not what onboarding should be about. It's about the people. So my point today is to talk about what actually onboarding is about. Get back to the basics and think about the people. So if you keep that in mind, I want to ask you guys. So what sort of experiences do you have within your own company? So this is where I want you guys to network, because let's be honest, conferences are all about networking. Maybe you could just, turn to each other, get some little groups together and talk to each other about the experience within your company. Firstly, the one challenge or something that isn't working in your onboarding program today. And the second part, just one absolutely fantastic detail that is working really well within your onboarding program. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes for that. So you can just do, either you just look to the right or the left, or just little groups, get to know each other and talk about those 2 points. Go. This is great. Hello? So it sounds like a beehive. Amazing. 1 more minute. Are you ready? Let's wrap it up. And now I want to hear your thoughts. So, where do we have a microphone? I can use this? Okay. So I will just bombard any one of you. Let's see. Who is extra stylish today? Here you go. So what is the one challenge and what is the one fantastic thing that you have from your previous experiences or right now?
One good thing is that I, as a HR manager, have a lot of meetings with newcomers. It's good, but one bad thing is that I don't have enough time to have such meetings with them.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's a good point. So another stylish person. Here you go. One challenge, one fantastic thing.
Okay, one challenge is how to very fast get the new guy acquainted with the whole team, not only with the mentor and with the HR. It's a challenge. And one of the perfect thing, I suppose, in our company that our top managers are very involved in this onboarding process and telling a lot of stories about how the company begins and so on. And this is very, how to say, help people to get into the company very nice.
That's very good to hear. Thank you. Now, let me see. Let me see if I even remember, because I want to write this down. No, go away. I have everything organized. It's all perfect. It's supposed to be like that. Yeah, it's all perfect. Не, все нормально. Это нужно так. Okay, so I will go back and do it my way, no worries. So firstly, we had personal meetings with the new hires, no time, then leaders involved, and challenge was how to make the process quicker. I want another opinion. Let's see, who hasn't? Is anybody who wants? Yes.
I know I'm not that stylish, so obviously I wasn't selected automatically.
Absolutely amazing.
So the one big challenge we have working at a multinational company with locations in many countries, is that the onboarding processes are pretty local everywhere. So what I see when I talk with my international colleagues, that not everyone has the same set of basics that I would want every starter of our company to have.
But something good?
Something good too. Okay, so in some locations there is a pretty good program in place which takes around 3 months, includes a lot of training, a lot of information about the companies. So I like that while it's not everywhere, but we are giving time for the newcomers to embrace the culture, to learn what needs to be learned about the company. We don't expect them to perform at optimal level at day one.
Perfect. I love hearing that. Thank you. Okay, let me write that down so we have your points. Because I just want to see if at the end of this I have answered some of the questions for the challenges. So, no standardized process, but giving time for onboarding. Okay. I hope you guys are happy at the back, technicians. Now it's like you want to have it. So I can give this back to you, thank you. So let's see if we can find some solutions for it. And now I will show you a video. And mind me, it is intentionally that video. I will tell you later on why. No. Now I need an IT guy. I know. Or I will just simplify it and go to YouTube. 1 second. You always have this at conferences. Nothing ever works. Well, that's normal. Right. So.
Oh, excuse me. I'm here for my first day.
Oh, I didn't know we hired anybody. I guess that's what the empty desk back here is for.
Okay.
Oh, it gets worse.
Hi, it's my first day. I'm just waiting for a supervisor to come and train me, I guess.
Got me. I'm just gonna have my lunch here.
Do you know where they are? Maybe I can just go get them.
Uh,
Let them know I'm here.
First day, Woody? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. I'll check it out.
Okay, thanks. Hi.
Hi.
That's my favorite part.
I was just wondering about my computer. It's a pretty important part of my job to have a computer.
No, you don't really need it. We'll get one for you eventually. Yeah,
Okay.
Just read those and they'll bring you up to speed.
Okay.
So this is how not to do it, obviously. Let me see, can I now kill it? Okay, it went. Hopefully it's all good and it won't start playing anything else. So the reason, this is actually an old video. So some of you are probably looking, but this is like just something from the 90s. Well, my last job did exactly that. So I was particularly shocked when I entered the office and it was all old like that, and they just gave me a bunch of regulations on my desk. It was pretty fascinating. But of course, I was hired there to create an onboarding process and program. So it was a lot of fun. Now, when you have something so huge that you don't have anything at all, then you need to cut it into pieces. There's different topics that you can categorize and start working on that. So what I like to refer to are the 4 C's. And these are developed by the Society of the Human Resources Management. And they're pretty simple. It's all about compliance, which is about everything to do documentation, workstation, IT regulations, handbooks, and so on. And the contracts, of course. So the simple part that we all know, the administrative part. Clarification, all about people understanding what role they are coming to do. So expectations and goals. Culture, as of course was talked previously as well, quite important to understand what the organizational culture is about, what the mindset is, and connection, having the relationships at work, because I absolutely agree. If we spend 70% of our time at work, we need to have really good relationships. So in practice, let's be honest, we can't do everything, and there's a lot of companies that don't do everything. So if we do passive onboarding, that's a must. You have to have all the administrative part in order, and also the person has to know what the job will be, the role description, if you put it simple. If you want to get a bit higher engagement from the new hires, have their life cycle a little bit higher, then you also have somewhat of the culture, somewhat of getting some connections, get them involved within the company. But the really, really proactive companies who have programs even around the cultural side, really training it, and also getting people involved with different activities with the people together, that you have a community within the company, that is the success. And of course, there are companies who do it perfectly. All the giants that we have out there, Microsoft, Google, they know what to do, of course. But why I'm talking about this, and the previous information, it's actually from quite long ago, and today in Estonia we have a startup society. So we have a lot of new companies starting up. They don't have any money for HR people, they don't have any knowledge, they have absolutely no idea what to do with people. They just want to have the product out there and get the money. So this is actually totally needed again. They need the support, they need to know the knowledge, they need to learn again what it is to bring people over to the culture and get the connections right. Dalia is a teacher in the Portland State University, and she's amazing. Everything to do with HR management, all the research that she's done, she has very clearly stated it out what is needed to actually be very successful with onboarding a person. Self-efficacy, which means that the person needs to feel that they are actually needed, that there's a worth from them to the company. So it's all about self-confidence, the value, and the company needs to provide the right tools for that as well, the right training, the right psychological support. Then of course, role clarity. You need to know, before you even start recruiting, you need to know what this role is going to do within a year. And that's something that a lot of companies don't do even today. Social integration, of course. I want to have it on top of my drinks, under my drinks, everywhere. Social integration is super important, because if you feel you're part of the community, you also feel that you have a belonging. And that's from the Maslow pyramid already. This is the essential need of a human being. And of course, knowledge of the culture. That is a complete success. But let's see. Everybody loves models. Maybe it's a little bit clear, because there's different kind of people who love talking and somebody who likes to see it on paper. So even before we start getting people on board, obviously the selection part, you need to have the role really clear. You need to have all the hiring managers, the executives, all the team members, all of them involved, knowing what they will be doing once a person is hired. So the role description, everything needs to be super clear. here. Obviously, understanding how feedback should be worked around once the new person already comes on board. And of course, the whole onboarding process, it needs orientation programs, it needs clarity from the documentation side, the processes, just training hard skills and also soft skills. I know it all sounds like, yeah, this is all great, but how do you really do it? Well, my experience, you don't need any money for that. You just need people and you need to talk to them. That's it. Communication is the baseline for everything. But let's see more into it. So here I have just written out, because you know, if you repeat yourself, you will remember stuff more. It's not so good, you don't probably see it so well, but you have the presentation on the websites as well. So compliance, all about documentation overview, responsibilities, IT, who is doing what and when exactly. So that when the person comes, everything is already done, everything's ready for him. Not that they come and there's no laptop, for an example, like we just saw in the video. Then clarification, everything to do with the role, so that the team and the manager know what they're expecting and by when, so that the new hire knows what they're expecting and by when. Different workshops, and here's something that we're actually trying out in a company I work with right now, Tech Buddy. So that is somebody who is technically really competent and within the team and helps just with the role. So technically, if he's more of a senior developer, for an example, helps the junior ones to get their competency on the level that is needed. Then culture aside, what are the rules within the company? What is okay? What is the norm? What isn't? I mean, there's so many things that people do but don't even talk about. Or you can't actually go and get that coffee mug because actually our CEO is using that, but nobody writes that in a handbook. So all those things as well. Introduction, of course, to all of the traditions in the company, the mindset and the strategy. And this is where I again agree, the leader of the company should talk about the vision and the strategy all the time, because you cannot get enough of it. That's what I truly believe in. That's the leaders that I truly admire do. And info sessions, of course, with key people. And you can't really do all of that if you don't know what your value proposition is within the organization. So that needs to be clear. But that's already from the start of the organization. So we won't really go into that. But the connection side. Social buddy, another thing that we're trying out. Social buddy is somebody who supports you on the kind of friend level, somebody who is more intuitive, and it's all about the psychological part. Somebody who brings you to the team gatherings, who brings you to the events, who tells you what people can give you what information, who holds your hand, in a way, but also who notices if you're in distress. And these people then come to HR and let us know so we can deal with it. But I'll tell you more about it, because I have examples from the company. Yes, and supporting initiative. One big thing that I've seen throughout all of the corporations and companies I work with, the processes hinder initiative. So you go there, you have to go by the rules and regulations, and once you kill the first step of initiative, they don't have any ambition, they don't have any motivation, and they will start going gradually down. That's what I see. First example. So this is the lovely startup where I had this great experience of not experiencing anything. So I went there, and it's a very cool company. They're developing a fit recommendation tool for the fashion tech industry, and it was founded in Estonia as well. So everybody knows them. Everybody, who does know wants to work there. It was very, very cool. I was very happy to get there, and to my surprise, of course, they had nothing. But they were a startup, and they were acquired by a big corporation called Rakuten, and then started to think, wait, do we now need to have regulations or something? So I went in there, and within 3 months, I tried to understand what's even going on, because they had 2 offices in Estonia, 2 offices in the UK, 1 in Tokyo, 1 in New York. So everyone was scattered around, so quite complicated. But what we did, we understood there were a couple of challenges. Well, for them it was a lot of challenges actually. First of all, preparations all around. Who is ordering the laptops, who is printing out documents. All of that stuff needed to be organized, structured, and a complete set of checklists was done. So that was one of the part, but that's the compliance. That's easy. No pre-boarding whatsoever, meaning from the moment that the new hire said yes to the offer until the moment they start their first day, there was nothing. It was blank. They didn't even say, oh, by the way, come tomorrow, we're waiting for you at 9. Nothing. Just find the office somehow and get there. So very interesting. What we did, we started to have communication every single week. So for an example, somebody is coming to the company within 2 months. Every week you drop some line of information. This is for an example, the employment contracts. Then you will have trainings with these subjects. Then you will have these events coming to you. Then we're waiting for you at that time. And we created also a welcoming letter. And that's on the previous one, actually. On the welcoming letter, we actually did a really pretty photo of the team because it's a fashion company, and also even used the social media part. So within the welcoming letter we had, if you are proud to come and join Rakuten Fits Me, put a hashtag on it and announce it to the whole world. It didn't work, I can say already, because nobody really knew what Rakuten Fits Me was. But it was cool on the welcoming letter at least. And another thing what we did, there was no information sharing, so we started to communicate that people are coming to all of the teams. Previously, UK didn't know what's going on in Estonia. We also started with CEO updates weekly. We started with team updates weekly. So there was a lot of information going on. And also, again, a very nicely designed welcoming card of the new employee so that everyone knows their picture. There was a short introduction, but also like 3 fun facts about the person. So there were some really quirky things that people even wrote there, but that was fun. And already it kind of showed the culture of the company, because you knew then it's not going to be formal and people were really ready to come to the company. And one of the biggest things, I guess, I do believe, is that we did trainings with all the department leaders, meaning that somebody who is in design, customer success, finance, what else, HR, of course, strategy, and so on and so on. So we had people chosen out who were the thought leaders, and they did info sessions with all the new hires. Thankfully, they didn't have so many hires, so it was like quite personal. If there were more than, like, let's say 5 people together, then they could actually do it in a bunch. But this was so helpful, because previously what people also said was that, you know, I actually don't know what they're doing in the UK. Are they also developing? Or, you know, I don't even know where this company is going. That went away after we started sharing so much information that they didn't even know it was possible. And when I left, that was just recently in December, the one key thing that people said, with knowing that HR is leaving, they said, does this mean that onboarding will now disappear? Unfortunately, it did, because they're just moving everything to the UK now. But it was really great to hear that people loved it. The ones who were hired and went through this process, they loved it. Because they always said, we also did a really thorough feedback session. Because it was a very, remote offices everywhere, we did it online, but it was very thorough, talking about the recruitment process, the onboarding process, the first day, how the team is, how the hiring manager is, and what is the reality versus the expectations for the role. So from there as well, people gave us such positive feedback, and then we understood this is how we need to go forward. And of course, when I went to another company, that's what I wanted to do. Anyways, it's my passion. So in the new company, I'm working in an IT company called ProExpert, and they are an IT company who's been on the market for 25 years. Can you imagine? I didn't. For me, it was a complete surprise. But they don't have any bureaucracy in there, which is remarkable. They don't also have many processes, I have to say. And they also have something that in Estonia is not so common. They're running on a holacratic management principle, which means that there are no bosses, basically. So in the core of it, there's the customer. And for the customer, who is the most important part? The development teams. So they are the most important people for us. So the developers, the designers, the product owners, etc., etc. Then we have the other support teams. So that's finance, accounting, HR, marketing, and also, well, the CEO who doesn't like to be called CEO. So it's like they have this struggle all the time. We're a bossless company, so no executives. We don't want to hear about it. And another great thing, the owners of the company are all employees of the company, 25 of them. Absolutely brilliant. So what they're doing right now, they are a tech company, but they also want to give out to the market that design is super important for them. So this is why we integrated the visual side to each and every part of the onboarding program. Already starting with the job interview. I mean, it's fun, it's easy, it's flowy, so the person already knows, okay, this is going to be very interesting and nice in this company. Because the visual part, I know it's just a job offer, but people take the emotion out of it and they already get the right mindset to, you know, start joining the company. Then also relocation guide. We put it together like a proper brochure. So if somebody's coming from Ukraine or coming from UK, whatever it is, if we relocate them, they have all the essentials. We talk about their where you can find your best hobbies in Estonia, what Coca-Cola costs like, what the rents are, and so on. So all the little parts, what people really need to know about. So what I believe, when people are joining a company, they need to have as much information as possible. So that's what we're trying to gain. And of course, for the first day or so, we have kind of like a treasure hunt. And because within this company, it's so important for the teams to be self-organizing, so taking on initiative. Also from the treasure hunt, for the first day, yes, we have our office fairies talking about, you know, what the company is, where you can get the best coffee on the second or the third floor. But the rest of the people who are within finance, engineering excellence, and so on, they have to actually go and do the meetings with them themselves. They have to initiate those meetings. And that's the culture straight up. So everybody who comes, the interesting point that I see in this company is that people want to do much more than just their daily work. So I really love this concept, and it is working. Of course, it's not suitable for everyone, but this is where you need to have the psychological, mental support for the people so that they adapt to somewhere where there's, you know, nobody telling them what to do. So what else? The biggest challenge. That was the one key thing that stood out when we started, and this was just now in January. There was this general onboarding. It went really well. You got the mindset, the strategy, the vision of the company. You understood what they're doing on the markets in the Estonian, Scandinavian, and so on. But then you place the person into the team, and nothing happens. Yes, there was a person, a mentor, who would then talk about how to be a better developer, you know, how the Scrum works like, and so on. But there was this part where people started to drop out within the probation time, unfortunately. And this is what we wanted to try find out. Why is it? Because people didn't really know how to give feedback to each other within a team. Yes, there was 360 feedback sessions with the team, but they were afraid. They were only talking about kind of the sprint toward from the customer angle view, but not what's going on in the team. So this is what we wanted to change. Today, we have a separate workshop for onboarding into the team. And another thing, why it's so needed, because within this company, they have like 30 different teams, which are like startups, and people can change the teams whenever they like. So whenever you go into a new collaboration, again, you need to understand, how am I the puzzle that really fits in to the new team? So this is a pilot now. And within this, of course, here we are introducing the social buddy and the tech buddy. So technically, of course, I think it's easier. But for the social buddy, we have gathered together this soft skills guild, where people who really love to work with people, but actually maybe are developers or something like that, they come together and they train themselves to understand the psychological part of their team members. To be the ones, the voices, if somebody is in distress or in struggle, they can come to HR and we can really help them and support them so that this falling out during the probation time, these don't happen. And that's the main goal. We want people to really adapt to this startup-like mindset, because in this company, you actually can do whatever you want to do. And it's very new, even for me. I'm not used to it yet, but it is very liberating. It's quite a lot of fun. And now 4 months later, I'm starting to feel, I feel pretty comfortable in the company. And it's also because we're trying to, support the people, but ourselves as well. Exactly the same thing. We all need it. Some examples of successful onboarding programs from the world, because we all love all the big shots out there. So Twitter, they have their emphasis on the period from yes to desk, meaning that everything until the time the new hire starts needs to be prepared in such detail that nothing is left behind. So the person comes in, they can already start the work. So everything is set up. They're also waited with a bottle of wine and t-shirts, which is quite nice. Located, of course, strategically to the main key team members who will help them. And on the first day, before they start any professional training, they have breakfast with the CEO and a roundabout on the campus. So that's also a good thing that I recommend to do. If your CEO has time, let them talk to the new hires, because this is the best way to give forward the vision. Then monthly new hire happy hours. Well, it's up to you to think how you can use that, if it's like with beer or if it's just with, virgin mojitos. It's up for you. Of course, forums regarding other projects. This is something we're doing in our company as well. The sharing moments. Every week we share something that's going on in some other project, because people want to know what's going on. It's super important to have the communication and share information. And they also have the 3-buddy system, and obviously this is where I kind of noticed that and I wanted to try it out. The leader buddy for them is somebody who is let's say, not the CEO per se, but somebody who is kind of the spokesperson of the company as well. So they can bring on the strategy and vision. The role body, quite clear about the expectations, and the culture body. So that's the soft skills part. Who else? LinkedIn. On the first day, they give sticky notes to people where you write your name and what profession you're working there. And then you just walk around with it and everybody will know, you're one of the new guys because you have the sticky note. Quite simple, doesn't cost any money, and actually kind of fun. And of course you have the campus tour and lunch, and then they really put a lot of effort and time into talking about the benefits, and they call it investing in you. So they talk about whatever LinkedIn can support them with, so motivational package, but especially healthcare part, because it's a big thing there. Then of course executive talks, everybody should do that. And by the end of the day you will get your backpacks with laptops, with everything working perfectly. And of course the new hire onboarding roadmap, but that's the same like I showed you with the treasure hunt, and it's simple to create. Zappos. If you don't know Zappos, go to zappos.com and you can shop for quite nice shoes over there. So it's very nice. And they really find it important for the new hires to understand the culture, because culture and the community is everything for them. So they take 4 weeks to have new hires locked away in a place and actually talk to them about all the different details and aspects of their culture and how the community is important, how to evolve it, and how you can be a part of it. And because it's important to have the most awesome people in there, after this period they will give you $2,000 for leaving if the mindset isn't right. I've never heard that before. Pretty interesting. But yes, company culture is the most important thing for them. Having the right people with the right team. Pinterest. They have it, sorry, Facebook, that's next. Facebook has it even worse. So it's a 6-week bootcamp, and that's especially for the developers, where you talk about the role and the culture. So these guys are really locked up. But the most interesting part is that during the 6-week time, they actually can already do code with the live page. So basically whatever they do there will be live, and for them it's obviously absolutely amazing because it's going live to billions and billions of people. Pretty bold move, of course, as well. And after this 6-week time, they are so ready to actively start producing for the company that it takes only 45 minutes for them to be an employee. 10 minutes, okay. Pinterest. Yes, I'm almost at the end, very good. So, with Pinterest, introduction email, of course, the same that I've tried out as well, with the schedule, the details, and also an option to introduce yourself. And I think it's always so important to have the personal touch. I want to know who the new hire is, but I don't just care about his face. I don't just care about his name. I want to know what his quirks are about, because that will show me a lot what their personality is like. And culture, company culture, is a lot about different personalities put together and working together, putting together the puzzle. The new hires obviously have breakfast together. So you see, there's a lot of eating. Seems to be working well. You know, people are happy when they eat. And Pinterest value of knitting. For them, this is the part, knitting they call it, where you go and interact with different people, different key people and stakeholders within the company. So who know about whatever department or subject, they need to interact. And they have a special process for that, special roadmap. And that's pretty interesting, knitting people together. And of course, talks with the leadership. So everybody does or gives a lot of effort to have people connecting to each other. And that's the cultural and interpersonal side. Also, really good example, one of my friends just had interviews with Microsoft, and they just opened up a new office in Ireland. And he said when he went there, it was bloody ridiculous. They have their own bread baked there with Microsoft logo on top. I don't even know how they do it. They have 5 restaurants there, some for vegans, some for meat lovers, and so on and so on. And for actually relocating there, that's also ridiculous. What they offered him was 9,000 euros for relocation, so they don't really deal with it. You get the money, you do it yourself, if it's with your family, whatever you need, with your furniture, and then 3,000 for traveling. Fudge me! They have a lot of money, but we can't do that. So if you don't have money, just think about the people. Come back to the basics and strip yourself naked. It's all about talking, communication, and the people. So the common themes: make the investment, meaning make the investment in time. I know it's very hard as an HR person. There's not enough time. Take the time. Do the even overtime, because it's so important to see after, like, if you've had the pilot for a month, you know, those people are so happy and they will contribute a lot more to the company than the ones that didn't have any onboarding. Company culture, obviously, is everything. And starting early, meaning that once the person says, yes, they're coming to the company, you need to prepare everything. Don't leave it to, you know, just randomly seeing. Take the responsibility. It's your responsibility, especially as a recruiter, I think. It's important to understand that you don't just mechanically bring on people like masses. They are human beings. You need to interact with them and you need to know how they're doing. That's the success. And this is what will make them evolve even more and more. Get the team involved. For God's sake, get everybody involved, because then everyone is on board with having a new team member and everyone's well prepared. The new hire will feel really comfortable and really welcomed. And this is the success of having the person in the company for the next 4 months, for the next 6 months, for a year, and even after that. With this company I work with right now, ProExpert, one of the most interesting parts, there are people there who have worked for over 10 years, for over 15 years. And you know those people? I didn't know it before. And when I met with them, I thought they were the coolest people I've ever met, because they were so quirky and they had insane ideas and they were really visionary. And it turned out they have been there for over 10 years. How do you keep up with that mentality? I'm about to see. So I think it's pretty brilliant to try out and let people be free and really support them, especially with the kind of mental support part, have the psychological side really covered from the HR. Clear roadmaps. Get everything structured in detail, because people, they need guidance. This will help them actually be better and help them concentrate on the work, rather than just, who do I ask for, paper toilets, whatever. So get them well prepared. Training and development. It's not only about the onboarding, but also from the probation time. You need to check all the time. So half-time checkups after probation time. You need to know that they're on track. And if they're not, support with the right technical training. 5 minutes. Okay, I will shut up now. And of course, soft skills trainings. And the most important part, remember, it's all about the people. That was my message. Strip down naked, think about the people. Thank you very much. Oh, and of course, happy onboarding.
We have 5 minutes for the questions. English, Russian, whatever. Вопросы?
Thank you so much. What is your lowest part in onboarding? What the moment you love most?
With onboarding, I think it's the first day, the first moment they step into the company, and you can provide so much support and show kind of the human side of it. Because I'm a little bit different than a traditional Estonian. I'm very emotional, I'm very passionate. So when I welcome them, I hug them straight away. They are my best friends from day one. It doesn't matter if they're a strategic leader or just an IT support. It doesn't matter for me. Everybody is equal, and you need to be tolerant towards everyone in the same way. So I think when they are surprised, oh wow, they like me here? That moment. Any other questions?
Thank you for your talk. It was quite impressed for me. Do you think an HR specialist need to be part of onboarding process, or does onboarding process need to be ruled only by team leader, social body, and technical body, and so on?
Thank you for this question. Actually, yes, I didn't clear it out. The reason within this company, the reason why we have it spread it out between the team members, also HR people and so on, is because there's so many people. There's, well, not thousands obviously, but for this company it's over 170 people, and you actually need to deal with all of them, and HR is a big part of it. So we need help, and what better way to get the help than to have the team members give their contribution. So this is the reason.
How do you train or prepare social bodies? Like, I don't know, give them some directions.
Yes.
What do they need to cover and etc.
Yeah, this is actually what we're doing right now. So we're getting the guild together. We have our first pilot meeting on Monday. And what we have already thought about, obviously you have so many different coaching options all around that you can get in-house and have them trained. So we're going to train with performance, with psychological skills. We are actually going to train them, and together we will think, what are the parts that I'm not so good with. Maybe I can talk to you, but maybe I'm actually afraid to talk to a leader. So these different details that they need help with, or we need help with, we will concentrate on those and get the support and help from the outside. So coaching and training from external providers.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a question. Which difficulties do you meet during implementation process? process when you implement onboarding?
Yes, well, I think everyone agrees it's the leaders and executives who are the hardest parts. With them, the first slide that I had about the numbers, the 50% retention increase and so on, with them, first you need to talk about the numbers, the results from the market, and then very smartly put in the soft skills part. You need to be very smart with negotiating with them, and it is the most difficult one. But once you try it out, for an example, I also thought about in one company, it wasn't allowed, or people were so stuck in the process and the corporate side that I suggested, okay, but let's do a trial team. Let's try it out for a month with these new hires and just see what the results are, because these are facts and numbers that you can show to the leaders. I think that's the biggest challenge, getting them on board.
Okay, let's thank Daisy for the presentation. Unfortunately, no time for questions more.